Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Welcome to another episode of the Work From Home Show. This is your host, Adam Schrader, along with my co-host, Naresh Vissa, and we are once again joined by Mike Robbins. Mike is a New York Times and international #1 best-selling author of Focus on the Good Stuff, The Power of Appreciation, Be Yourself, Everyone Else is Already Taken, Transform Your Life with the Power of Authenticity, Nothing Changes Until You Do, A Guide to Self-Compassion, and Getting Out of Your Own Way. And his new book is We Are All in This Together, Creating a Team Culture of High Performance, Trust, and Belonging. Now, Mike, in the previous episode, you mentioned that your wife is one of your employees and that y'all work from home. There's a lot of people right now that, they might work in the same business as their significant other, but, they have separate offices. And now they're having to go, and both of them are working from home. And, there's the trying to figure out that dynamic. How do y'all go about making it work that the two of you are working from home, but not stepping on each other's toes?
Right. Well, we've had quite a bit of experience of this over the years. My wife is one of the most amazing humans on the planet that I'm so fortunate enough to be married to, and just grateful to get to spend time around her because she's incredible. And we've learned, we're fortunate enough to have a big enough space. Like I have an office here at the house that's separate from everything. Michelle has her own office inside the house, but physically, and again, not everybody, there were many years, especially when we were broke, that we were not living in a situation like this. So we were on top of each other and we had to learn. Now, the reality of it is also too, for us, what Michelle does, Michelle coaches and is an incredible coach. So she has a handful of coaching clients that she works with one-on-one as a part of our business. However, we have two girls who are 14 and 11, and Michelle has been and continues to be an incredible mother. And so a lot of her focus is on the girls, and she can focus on the business when she needs to. But the vast majority of my attention is on the business. So that's just the way it works for us. For a lot of people, again, we're maybe not necessarily set up to have both people at home working, to have the kids around, to have lots of things happening. So there's so much to be juggled right now. And I think what it takes, or what Michelle and I've learned over the years, both working together and also parenting together and just living together from the days when we were first just dating and moved in together to all these years later now, is like it takes constant communication and constant adjustment. That even 20 years into our marriage and 20 years into the business and working together, like we're still having to adjust all the time on what's working, what's not working. And one of the things that we do, and this is a technique we actually use with a lot of the clients and the teams that we work with, but the 3 feedback questions that we're asking all the time is, what do you want me to start? What do you want me to stop? And what do you want me to continue? Like, what could I start doing that I'm not doing that's going to help us either work better together, or in this case, as I'm talking to Michelle, like make our marriage better or our family, our home? What could I stop doing that's getting on your nerves or getting in the way or causing problems? And what can I continue doing? And sometimes the feedback is related to how we're interacting with each other, but sometimes it could also be just how we're showing up in life, at work, whatever the case may be. These are what I call in my book, there's one of the pillars is embrace sweaty palm conversations. And great teams and great partners and great, communities of any kind have an ability to engage in those sweaty palm conversations, that feedback, addressing those conflicts in a way knowing that this is essential to our growth, to our development, to our relationship, to our team, to our success. So, Michelle and I have really taken that on over the years. And again, not like we have some perfect marriage or perfect situation where we never bug each other or drive each other crazy. Of course we do. But it takes real commitment. And if we are working at home with our spouse around, whether we're working in the same business or not, we have to figure out a way for it to be equitable. It's never going to be 100% equal, but it has to be equitable in the sense that you and your significant other feel like you both are valued in the same way, right? I heard Brene Brown, who I talked about earlier, who I love, she talks about this concept that she and her husband and her family do, is relationships, again, whether it's a marriage or it's a working relationship, a family relationship, it's never 50-50. right? And there's this notion of everyone take 100% responsibility. That's great, but sometimes all I got is 20%. And I got to tell Michelle, I got a solid 20. And hopefully she's got 80 to step up with. But if she's only got 25, we got a gap, right? We got 45 between us. Like someone's going to have to make up the 55, and like we're going to have to dig deep and figure it out. But if you can tell the truth to your spouse about that, in general, and especially when working from home and dealing with these challenging circumstances we've been dealing with, then you can get on the same page. And remember, again, as simple as it sounds, it's not always easy. Even with our spouse and our family, like we're all in this family together. Like when we get into that us against them or you against me, a therapist that Michelle and I worked with years ago said, here's a recipe for disaster in your marriage is, and this is basically what most fights come down to in any relationship, particularly significant other relationships, is you start arguing for who's the bigger victim. Like, who has it worse? Oh, you think it's bad for you? Let me tell you how bad it is for me. And you get into that argument back and forth. And at the end of it, even if you win that argument, you still lose because now, yay, you're the bigger victim. But, like, why are we arguing about this? So,
well, this is an important topic that is not talked about enough by the mainstream media. So I've been reading all sorts of articles about the domestic issues that are going on right now because of work from home. Mm-hmm. And divorce attorneys are working from home, and they're saying that their business is going to really, really vamp up after things get up and running again. Yeah. So what tips do you have? It's not just about a husband and a wife running a business together or working together at the same company. It's also about being a husband and wife, being a father and a mother, and raising kids appropriately. What tips do you have to make this a smooth, seamless process?
Well, I think the first thing is just to realize it's not going to be a smooth, seamless process for most of us. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be messy, right? You know, I mean, I love Michelle. I love my daughters, like, with all of my heart. And you know what? We're getting on each other's nerves. We're going to keep getting on each other's nerves. Yeah. I mean, it's like, so I think part of loving another human being, whether it's a spouse or a child or a family member, is also embracing and recognizing the fact that, you know, we're going to drive each other crazy and having some space for that. I mean, Michelle and I have been saying to each other and laughing about it even in moments when we get in little fights or the family and we're all getting annoyed and frustrated with each other, we're a little punchy. We keep saying, God, can you imagine being in this situation if our marriage was on the rocks and we were really having a tough time? And I don't say that with any arrogance or any judgment, because we've had some tough times over the 20 years we've been together. And for the moment right now, we're in a pretty good place with each other and with our marriage. And situations like this, right, will bring up all of the stuff that we're not dealing with. It's what happens a lot of times with significant others when the kids go off to college. Now, ours aren't old enough, but I have heard of this from my friends, and I've read about this a lot. It's like, hey, you spend so much time just doing the doingness of parenting and of life, and it's busy, and kids here and kids there, and then all of a sudden they grow up, they start driving cars, they start hanging out more with their friends, and it's a gradual process, but they go off to college, and then you have to look at each other and go, oh my gosh, like, do we still even like each other? What happened? You know, we were in love all those years ago. And so what I say to everybody, though, again, and not from some place of like, let me tell you how to have a great marriage, because like it's an ongoing, everyday process for me and for Michelle and for everyone I know who has a really good, solid marriage. They will say it's been a commitment. It's work. And in some ways, although it's very different, it's like having a great team. You don't just randomly have a great team. You can hire really well and get great people together. You have to nurture and nourish the team all the time. Like, that's part of the deal. It's, again, we don't expect that we're going to be healthy as humans in a physical body if we don't constantly get rest and eat well and exercise, right? That's an ongoing thing. It's not like you have a really good workout or a stretch where you eat really well and you go, I'm good, I'm all set now. I don't have to focus on my well-being and my health anymore. I got that handled. No. You have to tend to it all the time. You have to tend to the garden all the time if it's going to be healthy. So tending to our marriage, our relationship, tending to our family, and then knowing when the circumstances change, like they have pretty significantly, oh, we got to double down, triple down, quadruple down on tending to ourselves, to our marriage, to our family, to our team, because these are extraordinary and extenuating circumstances. And again, like, it's going to call upon everything within us in order to make this work.
Well, I think the key that you said is commitment and the level of commitment. And I see friends, colleagues right now I mean, they call me, they're complaining about their household, their wives,
Right.
their husbands. And I think one of the challenges is one person might be fully committed, or one person might, feel a certain way, and the other person is just on a completely different planet.
Yeah.
And that's what's causing the issues. So how do you, I mean, not to turn this into a marriage therapy session, but this is becoming a pretty big issue based on the data that I've been looking at just personal experience. What are your thoughts on this? Because this whole work from home thing, this is just the beginning. It's not like the pandemic ends and everybody goes back to the office and starts working and life returns to normal. No. This is a new trend that's going to speed up. And so we're going to have to get used to it.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, again, I mean, as it relates to marriage in general and our marriage, again, and Michelle and I have, figured some things out along the way, and a lot of, bumping our head into the wall in the process, I think, like most people, especially if you're together for a while, but proactively and ongoingly focusing on our relationships. Michelle and I have seen a series of different couples counselors over the years, not just when we were in tough spots and we really needed help. Now, we definitely did it then, but there were some moments in the early days when we were in a really tough spot and we were broke and we couldn't afford to go see anybody. So we had to kind of sort through it ourselves. But I think people think of couples counseling and therapy as like, oh, it's this bad thing, or, oh, someone cheats on someone and you got to go to it, or we're about to get divorced. Yeah, definitely go when those things happen if you need some help. But what if we do that more proactively? And again, what this situation is going to shine a light on for all of us who are in a relationship, whether we've been together for 6 months or 6 years or 60 years, is all of the places where, there's some work for us to do on our relationship. There's some places for us to be more compassionate or more committed or more loving or more kind or have more grace or whatever the case may be. And, one thing is, you were just saying about the complaining, and Michelle has definitely taken the lead in our marriage on this, and I have followed her lead, is that we actually made a commitment a long time ago that we weren't going to complain about each other outside of our marriage. Now, that doesn't mean we never talk to anyone about frustrations that we have with each other, but not idly complain. Because she's like, I don't want to be one of those women that's just bitching and moaning about my husband to all my girlfriends, because I don't like when my girlfriends do that to me. And I also don't feel like it's honoring and respectful of us. And so what that means is, I have a men's group that I'm in. I have a couple of really close friends that I will sometimes confide in when I'm having a challenge in my marriage, but from a real deep place of authenticity and vulnerability and commitment. I'm not calling them up to complain about my wife, even if it starts that way. I'm calling up because I need some help and support, because she's the most important person in my life, and I'm committed to being a loving, kind, compassionate, strong husband for her. And in this moment, I don't know how to do that because I'm just frustrated. So I have places I can call. They're not going to get in cahoots with me and say, I know, she's really annoying. Let me tell you about my wife. She's annoying too. Because that's not going to help. Do you know what I mean? And so again, it's a commitment. So there's committed complaints or proactive complaints. We go to someone, can you help me sort this out? I'm having a hard time. And this is true at work, by the way, too. Or we can just go to lunch, or now these days get on Skype or Zoom and start bitching about our boss. That's not going to help anything. It might feel better in the moment, but it's like eating a candy bar or a Big Mac. It tastes good, and then later I have a stomach ache because it's that wasn't really healthy. Do you know what I mean? So again, we got to pay attention to where do we go to get support. And if people listening right now are really in a tough spot with their spouse, have some compassion for yourself, have some compassion for them, and see where you can reach out for a lifeline to someone or something that you trust that's going to help facilitate you through the process. The other thing is, there's a lot of people out there who can help. I don't know about you guys, but for me, in general, problems that people have, whether it's in their marriage or their business or whatever, money, you name it, I am way better at helping other people sort out their problems than I am sometimes dealing with my own, right? Because if it's your problem, I'm not emotionally attached to it. If you come to me with an issue in your marriage, let me talk to you about this. But if it's mine, it's a lot harder for me to sort through because I have all of my own emotional attachments to it.
All right, Mike, thanks for joining us here on the Work From Home Show. Once again, folks, Mike's new book is We're All in This Together, Creating a Team Culture of High Performance, Trust, and Belonging. You can find out more about Mike Robbins at mike-robbins.com. That's mike-robbins.com, ROBBINS.com. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, all you listeners, don't forget to go to workfromhomeshow.com, sign up for our mailing list, get a free copy of Naresh's 50 Shades of Marketing. And if you have any questions for Mike or for Naresh or myself, email us hello@workfromhomeshow. That's hello@workfromhomeshow.com. And until next time, keep on working from home.